So in this video, we're going to be looking at iodine thiosulfate redox titrations, right? Now, in terms of this, of course, we're going to have our thiosulfate ions placed in our burette, right? Just like before, how we dealt with manganate 7 redox titrations, it's a similar type of thing. It's a redox reaction again. If I've got thiosulfate placed in here, we know normally we need to get that from something. And if we were to include the spectate ion, the compound that we would normally put in our burette would be sodium thiosulfate itself, which looks something like this. Now, of course, that sodium thiosulfate, right, we're going to actually add that from our burette into a solution containing, of course, copper 2+ ions. Now, you can actually do this experiment with different types of ions like dichromate or even chlorate or any other chemical, to be honest. But the main thing is you're after a reaction first to begin with between something like iodide and your copper 2+. That will generate some iodine, and then that iodine will react with the sodium thiosulfate itself, right? Now, in terms of this then, right, I need to add some iodide ions to my actual conical flask itself. So yeah, let's say if we're dealing with potassium iodide in this case, and we're going to be adding basically iodide ions, if I get rid of my spectator ion, to a solution of copper 2+, where it could be anything like copper 2+ in, let's say, brass or something like that. Well, what's going to happen is that iodide will actually react with the copper 2+, and you will end up with a redox reaction where you end up forming copper 1+ and then iodide. So it's going to be copper +1 iodide, which looks like this, and then you also actually end up forming iodine itself. Now, in terms of balancing this equation overall, you can see I've got 3 lots of iodine on the right. I would need 3 lots of iodide on the left, right? But this wouldn't actually balance because our charges aren't actually balanced itself. I've got a -1 charge on the left, and then on the right I've got a 0 charge itself. So I need to make them both equal to 0. So what can I actually do instead? Well, I could double the actual number of copper 2+s there, and that would mean I've got double the amount of copper iodide, and then I've still got 1 lot of iodine. And then what I would need to do is I would need to change the lots of iodide to 4 itself. So I've got 2 lots of copper 2+ reacts with 4 I-, the charges balance, the atoms balance, because I've got 4 iodines on the right and I've got 2 coppers on the actual right as well. Yeah, so yeah, there's our first equation there that we need to be aware of, and we need to be able to memorize this equation because we've basically got here a redox reaction. Copper's going from +2 to +1 oxidation state, so we know our copper 2+ is going to be, of course, reduced to begin with, and then our iodide is going from -1 to 0 oxidation state. We know, of course, iodine is going to be oxidized itself, right? Now, what happens is when this, of course, initial reaction happens, we end up producing copper iodide, which is going to be, of course, our white precipitate itself, and then we end up with a brown solution, which is going to be from our actual iodine itself under acidic conditions. Now, in terms of our actual second reaction, which is actually going to be what's happening in terms of our titration itself, what we're taking is of course 2 lots of sodium thiosulfate, where I've got 2 lots of S2O3, and then it's going to be 2-, and that's going to be reacting with iodine, and what I end up forming is 2 lots of I-, and then I also end up with S4O6 2-. Now, you can see over here that in terms of my molar ratios, I've got a 2-to-1 ratio between S2O3 2- and iodine. So if I wanted to find the actual number of moles for my titer value, I can do that because I've got the concentration of thiosulfate, the volume of it as well, and then of course I can divide that by 2 to find the number of moles of iodine. Now, if I've got however many moles of iodine there, I need to look at my first equation over here, right, and to find the number of moles of copper 2+, I need to take into account this molar ratio as well, where I've got 1 to 2 itself. So I know, of course, I'm going to times by 2 again. So the molar ratio is quite complicated, where we actually divide by 2 and then we're going to times by 2 again. But just remember, this is one example of an equation that you need to be aware of. All the others will be given to you in the exam. Yeah, and of course you just follow normal back titration steps after this, and so you just follow normal titration itself, right? So yeah, of course we know the thiosulfate is going to be added from the burette and it reacts with the actual iodine. Now, of course, in redox titration, we normally do end up with colour changes. They're normally quite colourful and it's quite distinct to actually work out when the endpoint is going to be. But then in this case, right, because it goes from brown to yellow to colourless itself, it's quite difficult to pinpoint and quite difficult to see the colour change and the endpoint itself. So what we can do is we can actually add an indicator, which is going to be starch in an iodine thiosulfate redox titration, and that actually makes a deep blue black colour itself. So we end up with, of course, our conical flask having a blue-black color, blue-black solution itself. And what's going to happen is that's going to become colorless, right? That will decolorize at the actual endpoint itself. So our color change for our redox titration in this case is going to be from blue-black to colorless itself. So yeah, that's the theory behind redox titrations involving iodine and thiosulfate. What types of calculations can I actually do with these? Well, again, it relies on the stoichiometry of the reaction. We know, of course, thiosulfate is what's placed in our burette. We've got a 2-to-1 ratio between thiosulfate and iodine. Now, of course, if I were to look at my top equation, I've got a 1-to-2 ratio itself, right? So let's say if I were to have, to begin with, we'll go with an example, and we say we've got 1 mole of copper 2 plus. I would need to divide by 2, so I end up with 0.5 moles of iodine. That means I've got 0.5 moles of iodine over here, and then I need to times by 2 again, and that would give me, of course, 1 mole of thiosulfate itself. Now, just remember, when it comes to this type of stuff, you've got to be aware of the equation that the examiner gives you. If they don't give you one and it's just thiosulfate, iodine and copper, you need to remember the ratio as being 2-to-1-to-2 itself, right? So yeah, what type of calculations can you get? Well, you can get brass calculations where you're asked to find the percentage by mass of something like copper within brass, which is a mixture of copper and zinc, or even the percentage by mass of copper within a mixture of course, copper and tin, which makes bronze. Yeah. So yeah, moving on then, let's try an example. Again, we're following normal back titration steps. Feel free to pause the video and have a go at the following question. So yeah, we've got 1 gram of a piece of brass and it's dissolved in nitric acid, producing a mixture of copper and zinc nitrate itself. So what we've done is we've taken the copper, we've reacted it with nitric acid, and what we've ended up forming is copper nitrate, which has a formula as Cu, and then it's going to be NO3 and then 2. Basically, what we've got is copper 2 plus ions itself, which is what we need in our conical flask for our redox titration to take place. That copper 2 plus is going to react with not potassium iodide, but the actual iodide ions within it, and what we end up forming is of course iodine and copper iodide itself. There's our first equation over there. Now, of course, this is then going to be titrated with sodium thiosulfate, and we're told the concentration, which is 0.2 mole per decimeter cubed. The solution requires 47.8 centimeters cubed of the sodium thiosulfate for complete reduction. We're asked to calculate the percentage by mass of copper within brass itself, right? Now, the first starting point over here is going to be, of course, we need to find the number of moles of our S2O3 2- ions, our thiosulfate ions. How am I going to do that? Well, I've got a volume, I've got concentration as well, so I'm just going to do concentration times by the volume, so that's 0.2 times by 47.8 itself, divided by 1,000, and I end up with the following value of 9.56 times 10 to the power of minus 3. That's how many moles of thiosulfate I've got. That's the first mark there. The next thing is I've got to think about molar ratios, and if I look at it, I've got a 2-to-1 ratio, and then I've got a 1-to-2 ratio over here. So the first thing is to find the number of moles of copper 2 plus. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to need to take my number of moles of 9.56 times 10 to the power of minus 3, and then I'm going to divide by 2 to begin with. That gives me the moles of iodine, and then to go from iodine to copper 2 plus, I'm going to have to times by 2 again. So in that case, I divide by 2 times by 2, I basically end up timesing by 1. So I end up with 9.56 times 10 to the power of minus 3. And then it's going to be moles of copper 2 plus ions itself. So yeah, we've got our copper 2 plus in moles over here. And just remember, it's going to be the same in terms of the mass of copper itself. So to find the actual mass of copper, what I need to do is I need to take the number of moles, which is going to be 9.56 times 10 to the power of minus 3. And then I'm going to times that by the actual mass of copper, the atomic mass of copper. And that's going to be 63.5 itself. And of course, I put that in my calculator, and what that gives me is 0.607, and then we're going to go with ... grams itself. Now, of course, to find the percentage by mass of copper within our actual sample itself, we need to take that mass there of copper, which is 0.607 ... and then we're going to divide by our mass, which is going to be 1 times by 100, and we end up with 60, and then it's going to be 0.7% to 3 significant figures. And there is a very nice and easy 4-mark question. So yeah, moving on, feel free to have a go at the following question. Again, pause the video, resume once you're ready to move on. So yeah, in this case, we've got a sample of bronze and it was analysed to find the proportion of copper it contained itself. Now, of course, we've got 0.5 grams. We've been given a mass of bronze and that's been reacted with nitric acid. So we end up making copper nitrate again. And of course, we know that's going to contain the key ion, which is copper 2+ ions. Now, if you've got copper 2+ ions, that's going to be reacting with iodide ions. We end up producing some liberated iodine. That's a nice word that the examiner likes to use, but they've just said iodine here. And the iodine ends up being titrated with this concentration of sodium thiosulfate and then with that volume as the actual titrate volume itself. We're asked to calculate the percentage of copper in the actual bronze itself. So in that case, again, we're doing a similar type of calculation as we did in the last task, where we're going to first of all work out the number of moles of sodium thiosulfate, S2O3 2-, and that's going to be equal to 0.2 my concentration times by my volume of 22.40 over 1,000, and I end up with 4.48 times 10 to the power of -3, and then it's going to be moles itself. There's my first mark there. So yeah, the next thing to do is to, of course, work out the number of moles of copper 2+, which is going to be equal to 4.48 times 10 to the power of -3 itself. And we've got to show this by calculation because it changes every time. We've got thiosulfate, which is in a 2-to-1 ratio with iodine. So I divide by 2 first. Then iodine I've got the number of moles of. So I'm going to take that. And then I've got a ratio of 1-to-2 itself with copper 2+. So I'm going to times by 2 again. And I actually end up with the same value just like we did last time. But remember, of course, the equation won't always be the same. So yeah, there's my second mark there. Now I need to find the mass of actual copper in my actual bronze itself. So the mass of copper is going to be equal to 4.48 times by 10 to the power of -3, and then of course I'm going to times that by 63.5 itself. I put that in my calculator and I end up with 0.284, and then it's going to be ... grams itself for 1 mark. And then to find the percentage by mass of copper, I'm going to end up, of course, taking that 0.284 ... dividing by my actual mass of bronze itself, which is going to be 0.5, and then I'm going to times that by 100, right? I do that, put in my calculator, and I end up with 56.9% itself. And there's my final mark there. So moving on then, feel free to have a go at the next question, where of course we're trying to find here the value of X, the number of water of crystallizations in hydrated copper sulfate itself. So yeah, looking at this question then, we've got 25 centimeters cubed of copper sulfate that's hydrated, so it contains water of crystallization. And then we've got, of course, a concentration of 26.5 grams per decimeter cube. It's placed in a conical flask, so we know we end up with copper 2+ ions with excess iodide ions. They react together and we end up with this equation over here. And then, of course, we end up with 22.25 centimeters cubed. That is our titer value, and we've got 0.12 mole per decimeter cubed for our concentration of thiosulfate for the second equation over here. Of course, that thiosulfate is going to react with the iodine produced though. We're asked to calculate the value for X in the following formula of copper sulfate dot and then XH2O itself. Now to begin with, what we need to do is we need to actually find the mass of copper sulfate, and that's going to be, of course, hydrated copper sulfate, so that's going to be .XH2O. And to do that, of course, I'm going to take the concentration, which I can see over here, right, and I'm going to time that by the actual volume itself. So if I were to look at it, right, how I've actually got that calculation, well, if I look at the units, I've got grams over, and then it's going to be decimeters cubed itself. So I know the concentration of 26.50 is equal to the mass that we've got divided by decimeters cubed. Now let's see if I were to rearrange to find the actual mass itself of my hydrated salt. What I would need to do is times both sides by the volume. So in that case, I would have 26.50, and that's going to be times by 25, but remember we need it in decimeters cubed to make the units match, over 1,000. So yeah, in that case I end up with 25 over 1,000 times by 26.5, and that's going to be 0.6625, and that's grams itself for 1 mark. Now of course we follow our normal steps where we've got thiosulfate, S2O3 2-, and that's going to be the moles being equal to 0.12 times by 22.25, and that's going to be divided by, of course, 1,000. Now, if I were to work out a value, put that in my calculator, I end up with 2.67 times 10 to the power of minus 3, and that's how many moles of thiosulfate I've got. Now, what about if I were to find the moles of copper 2 plus? Well, the number of moles of copper 2 plus is going to be equal to my 2-to-1 ratio over here, and then, of course, my 1-to-2 ratio over here. So what am I going to do? Well, just as we did before, we've got 2.67 times 10 to the power of minus 3. We're going to divide that by 2 and then times the whole thing by 2 again, because of course we're going from 2 to 1, divide by 2, 1 to 2, times by 2, and we end up with, again, 2.67 times 10 to the power of minus 3. So yeah, there's my moles of course, copper 2 plus ions. But remember, right, when you're dealing with copper sulfate, let's say, which is a salt that dissolves completely, you end up with copper 2 plus ions, and then you end up with sulfate ions there as well. The ratio between copper 2 plus ions is the same as, of course, copper sulfate itself. So in that case, yes, I've got that many moles of copper 2 plus, but the number of moles of copper and then sulfate itself is going to be equal to 2.67 times 10 to the power of minus 3, and that's going to be, again, moles itself. So looking at my numbers then, right, this mass over here is going to be the mass of my hydrated copper sulfate. So with my water of crystallization, I now need to actually find the mass of just copper sulfate on its own. And that's going to be equal to, of course, 2.67 times 10 to the power of minus 3, which is going to be my moles of copper sulfate itself. And then I'm going to times that by 159.6, and I end up with 0.426, and that's going to be reoccurring in terms of the grams, the mass in grams I've got of copper sulfate. The next step is I need to find the actual mass of water, which is going to be equal to, of course, the hydrated mass, which we worked out over here, 0.6625 grams, and we're going to subtract this value over here, which is our anhydrous mass, just our salt itself. So that's going to be 0.426 ... reoccurring, and we end up with 0.236 ... reoccurring in terms of the grams. With that, I can find the number of moles of water, which is going to be equal to 0.236 ... divided by 18, which is the MR of water, and I end up with 0.0131, and then it's going to be moles itself. So yeah, now I've got the number of moles of water, which is going to be this value over here. I've got the number of moles of copper sulfate as well. Now I need to find the smallest whole number ratio between the two. So if I look at it, I've got copper sulfate here, and then I've just got a normal water of crystallization calculation, to be honest, where I've got 2.67 times 10 to the power of minus 3, and then I've got 0.0, and then it's going to be 131 itself. Of course, I'm just going to stick with 3 significant figures for water here because there is no point looking at it any further, and I'm going to look at which one's smaller. It's going to be copper sulfate in this case, so I'm going to divide both of them by, of course, this value. So I end up with dividing that one by 2.67 times 10 to the power minus 3 as well. I end up with basically a ratio which is going to be a 1:5 ratio. So I know in terms of this, right, I worked out my ratio here, 1:5, X is going to be equal to 5. In other words, right, my formula is going to be copper sulfate, big fat dot, and then it's going to be 5 lots of H2O itself. There's another way to word the answer.